Hey guys, so I just got back from an amazing 8-day trip in Torres Del Paine National Park in Patagonia. I have done a fair share of hiking around the world, and without a shadow of doubt, this was easily my best multi-day trek anywhere in the world. I already made a video documenting my entire 8-day hike, and you can find the link over here. But in this video, I'm going to show you how you can plan your own Torres del Paine adventure. I'm going to explain how do you get to the park, how much does it cost, where can you sleep, where do you eat, how do you go about doing all the reservations, and so much more. So let's get started. Torres del Paine National Park is located in southern part of Patagonia. Now, if you are like most people, you're going to first fly into Santiago and then make your way down to either Puerto Natales or Punta Arenas. I spent about 3 days exploring the colorful city of Santiago and its neighboring city of Valparaiso before flying down to Puerto Natales. Now there are regular flights between Santiago and Punta Arenas, and then you can take a bus from Punta Arenas to Puerto Natales, or you can take a flight directly to Puerto Natales as well. But keep in mind the flights between Santiago and Puerto Natales only fly certain times of the week. Once you are in Puerto Natales, then you can take another bus to get to Torres del Paine National Park. The bus ride between Puerto Natales and Torres del National Park is about 2 hours. Best time to travel. Now, while the park is open 365 days a year, but if you're planning to do either the O trek or the W trek, then you can only do it during certain times of the year. In fact, the O trek is actually closed except for the months from November till March. I believe you can also do the O trek in the month of October, but that has to be with a guide. Yeah, December to February is when you can expect the most favorable weather, which is again only relatively speaking. When I did the O trek in the beginning of December, the daytime temperatures were about 10 to 15 degrees and the nighttime temperatures were about 0 to 5 degrees. And even then you should still expect a lot of rain, snow, and of course the winds can be really brutal in Patagonia. Hiking options. So I briefly touched upon the O and the W trek. So these are the two main multi-day treks in Torres del Paine. The O trek is the longer version, doing a full circuit of the national park and can only be done in counterclockwise direction. In terms of the length, the O trek is about 120 kilometers and it takes anywhere from 7 to 9 days to complete. The W trek is about 75 kilometers and takes anywhere from 4 to 6 days to complete. If you're someone like me who prefers the solitude, then go ahead and do the O trek. You don't have to be super fit. As long as you're comfortable hiking 6 to 8 hours a day, between 12 to 18 kilometers, I think you can do the O trek. However, if you're short of time, if you're not too much into hiking, then go ahead and do the W trek. The W trek is shorter, and the good part is even on the W trek you cover the two iconic viewpoints in the national park. One being the massive Grey Glacier and the second being the three towers, which are arguably the most famous viewpoint in all of the national park. But if you really want to experience the wild side of Patagonia, I highly recommend looking into doing the entire O trek. Now let's talk about eating and sleeping, probably the most important topic of this video. Now when it comes to sleeping, you have two main options. You can either sleep in your tents or you can sleep in the refugios. When it comes to tenting, you can either carry your entire gear and sleep in your own tents, or you can directly rent some of the gear directly at the campsite. There is also a third option if you do not want the hassle of setting up the tent, that you can opt for pre-set up tents. These tents are already set up at the campsites and they come equipped with a sleeping bag as well as a nice sleeping pad. So this is the option that I chose for all the 7 nights that I decided to stay in the campsites. And honestly, this was a really good option because it meant that I had to carry minimal gear in my backpack for the entire 8 days that I spent on the trek. And then finally you have the option of staying in the huts, which is probably the most priciest option. The refugios are hut providing dorm style living where you can expect to share a room with about 5 to 6 other people. Now personally I did not go for this option because I'm a light sleeper, and whenever someone is twisting, turning or snoring, that really disturbs my sleep. So I decided to go with the pre-set up tents. Now one thing I would really like to point out was I was amazed with the general cleanliness and the tidiness at the campsites. The campsite came with flush toilets as well as access to hot showers. There is nothing like having access to hot showers at the end of a tiring day. Hot showers, in my opinion, were a total game changer on this hike. Let's talk about eating now. Now again, there are two main options over here. You can decide to carry your entire food and cook at a campsite, or you can eat all your meals at the refugio, which is definitely the more pricier option. If you decide to cook your own meals, then these campsites came with a kitchen where you could cook and eat your food, or you can simply eat all your meals at the refugio. This is the option that I went for, and honestly, this was quite a pricier option in my opinion. You are easily spending about $70 to $90 on all the three meals for each day that you're going to eat at the refugio. This is something I would have done differently by carrying my own food. Also, an important thing to note is each of the campsites generally came with a well-stocked convenience store. At this convenience stores, you could buy some snacks, Gatorade, wine, beer, biscuits, a lot of candy, and a bunch of other snacks as well. As well as at some of the refugios, you could directly order some food like burgers as well as pizzas. This is a good thing to keep in mind if you decide to carry all your own food. There are options where you can get some additional food at this convenience stores. Logistics and reservation. Now, this is not a park where you can simply show up at the entrance and hope to snag a place at a campsite or a refugio. You need to start planning way in advance. I'm talking about at least 3 to 4 months in advance if you're planning to hike from the month of December to February. Now, the campsites and the refugios are operated by two different companies, Fantastico Sur as well as Vertus Patagonia. There are also a couple of free campsites that are operated directly by the national park, but they have been closed for the last 2 or 3 years. So your only option is to go through these two agencies in order to book the campsites or the refugios. Now, it can be a bit of a hassle to go through their websites and find availability for the dates of your choice. So make sure you leave enough flexibility in your itinerary to get reservation for 7 nights in a row. Now, if you do not want to go through the hassle of directly going through the website, you can go with one of the many tour operators that can help you do the booking. So I went with this company called as Patagonia Hero. Pablo, who was my contact over there, did a great job in ensuring that all the campsites were booked for me, all the meals were reserved, as well as he also helped me book the bus to get to the national park from Puerto Natales. Now let's talk about the cost. Now, hiking in Patagonia in general is not cheap at all. On top of the already expensive flight tickets just to get into Chile, you're going to spend quite a bit once you're in the national park. Expect to spend about $20 to $25 per night on every campsite, $49 for the park entrance fee, as well as $40 for the bus ticket from Puerto Natales to Torres Del Paine National Park. Now, in total, I spent about $2,200. This included 7 nights of camping in pre-set up tents as well as eating all my meals at the refugios, bus ticket from Puerto Natales to Torres del Paine National Park, as well as 2 nights of stay in a really good hotel in Puerto Natales, 1 night before as well as 1 night after the hike was completed. Now, if you're trying to save money, I would personally recommend to forego eating the meals at the refugios and at least cooking some of your meals. This is going to significantly bring down the cost. And yeah, this was not a guided tour at all. This was a completely self-guided trip. If you decide to go with a guide, which honestly I don't think you need a guide at all, the costs are going to be significantly higher. Be prepared for experiencing all seasons in a single day. It can rain, snow, as well as be sunny in the same day itself. And be prepared for those fierce Patagonian winds. Multiple people on this hike warned me about the brutal Patagonian winds, and they were 100% right. At times, the wind was so fierce that it could easily have knocked me down to the ground. But overall, this hike was such a beautiful experience for me. To be away and be unplugged and be surrounded by the spectacular scenery for 8 days was such a remarkable experience. On this trip, you're going to meet some amazing hikers from different parts of the world. You're going to eat together, walk together for miles, share a laugh of two, and at the end of the day, create some amazing memories lasting you a lifetime. If you're on the fence, do this hike, guys. It is going to be a life-changing experience. And remember, if I could do it, so can you. Hey guys, so that's all you need to know about planning a hike in Torres del Paine National Park. I hope you guys found this video useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any additional questions. I hope you guys make it to Patagonia someday. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, it's happy hiking. Bye.